Okay, guys. Today we'll be watching 3 animated Dairy Queen stories. Story 1.
This following story was inspired by a Baton Rouge male who worked at a Dairy Queen. I just want to give you a disclaimer that what you're about to witness might make you queasy the next time you order at a fast food restaurant. I personally find this story rather disgusting than scary. Here's what it looked like. I've been in and out of jail in the past, but hey, I never killed anybody, alright? I was arrested on account of theft and illegal substance imports and nothing more. Now that I was free again, I had found serenity at Dairy Queen, where my manager and colleagues were all nice to me. I felt that I could handle any situation no matter how stressful it was, with only one exception: no police officers. I'd survived my first 2 weeks on the job without any commotion, but one day it all went downhill when my worst nightmare entered through those heavenly doors. A stout man in a black long-sleeve uniform with a peaked cap and a shiny badge. I knew it was too good to be true, because no matter how much I wanted Dairy Queen to be free from its vermin, police officers couldn't resist the mouth-watering treats Dairy Queen had to offer. I attempted to ask my colleagues to handle the customer, telling them that I was sufficiently under the weather. However, it was one of those busy days where everybody had something to do, and to make matters worse, we were understaffed. So I had no choice but to handle the task delegated to me. Looking down at the counter, I felt really uncomfortable standing in front of the officer. I thought that perhaps there was a way for me to still get his order without making direct eye contact. But then, moments later, the cop called my name with a familiar tone that instantly sent chills down my spine. Well, look who we have here. It's my old buddy, Mr. Johnson. So, how's life out of prison? He asked aloud with a smug look on his face. I didn't appreciate what he was doing, letting my colleagues and other customers know about my past since it might scare them off or give Dairy Queen a bad image. With my mama's reminders running through my head, I took a deep breath, urging myself to remain calm. It's been swell, officer, I replied monotonously. Then, in a split second, memories of a past that I kept neatly tucked in the archives of my brain rushed back to the surface. I had flashbacks of Officer Ralph forcing me into a corner so that he could beat me up with his truncheon whenever he felt like it. One
Dang.
time, he and another officer took me to the restroom, where I nearly drowned after they dipped my head into a drum of water. But I had to put all those thoughts back where they belonged, in the past. After all, I didn't want to make a scene. Then, moments later, the irksome cop scanned my body from head to waist and said, "From what I recall, this type of job doesn't suit you at all." It was apparent that he was trying to provoke me, but all I said was, "May I take your order, sir?" He shook his head with a smirk and replied, "Sure, I'd like 1 burger, 50 Oreo blizzard cakes, and 80 chocolate blizzards." "All right, that would be $2,355, sir," I replied, my body stiff from all the tension. "Well, maybe you can pay for me, Mr. Johnson," he said, placing
What?
his filthy hand on my shoulder. You know, for old time's sake. I wanted to justify my rights in the immorality of his ways, but he sensed that I wanted to retaliate. Officer Ralph tightened his grip, pulled me close to him, and whispered in my ear, saying, "Know your place, boy." I could always visit the manager's office and tell him all the terrible things you did that brought you to jail. I guess you never told him about it, right? Clenching my fist to control my anger, I replied, If that's all, I'll take your orders to the kitchen staff and get them ready. That's more like it, Officer Ralph said, as he chortled delightfully. Going back to the kitchen, I handed over the orders of ice cream cakes to my colleagues. Then, while one of them was on break, I took his place at the hamburger making station and began to cook. Recalling all the horrible things he did to me in prison, I knew of a way that could mitigate my growing apprehension. I knew that there were eyes on us in the kitchen with multiple cameras at every corner, so I had to be tremendously cautious. While the patty was being grilled, I took the bun, positioning myself off camera, and spat on it, leaving behind a clear greenish blob of saliva. It gave me such relief that I chuckled at the thought of him eating that burger. Then, I went back to the grilling station, took the patty, and placed it neatly inside the bun before wrapping it. When it was finally time to give this customer his food, he came to the counter, took one Oreo blizzard cake, and started mashing it with his bare hand, eating the sponge and licking off the ice cream from his fingers like a pig, displaying a pompous attitude. It feels so good having this much food for free, Mr. Johnson. I think I'm gonna drop by this place more often. He teased me, like the bully that he was. You're gonna regret this, I said, in a low tone. Did you just threaten an officer, Mr. Johnson? He said, his posture straight and his tone condescending. It was nothing. Forget about it. I recoiled, looking down at my hands on the counter. Then, as he returned to his seat with his burger and cakes, I watched him from my peripheral vision as he took a small bite out of the burger. As soon as I turned my back, I heard him scream. Oh, what the hell is that? What the hell did you put in my burger? He marched back to the counter, calling out my name, saying, Mr. Johnson, is this your saliva on my burger bun? I didn't utter a single word, but I looked at him menacingly, and he immediately caught on. So, he stepped back and spoke to someone on his radio, then asked me to come quietly to his car. All right, Mr. Johnson, you're under arrest for your poor conduct and despicable act, so please put your hands behind your back and step out of the counter, Officer Ralph demanded. Hey, I know my rights, okay? Since you have no proof that my saliva is on your burger bun, I'm staying right here.
What the?
I replied, confident that I could get away with it. However, two other officers came in and forced me into submission as I resisted as long as I could. When we arrived at the police station, they reviewed the surveillance footage and caught me spitting saliva on the bun. Just like that, I was behind bars once again for mingling harmful substances and resisting a cop. Hey, I'm just glad I wasn't charged with attempted murder and that officer isn't dead. You see, I later admitted to the law enforcement that I had several diseases, which would have made that night his last time at Dairy Queen.
That's crazy.
I lived in a small...
I gotta ask a question. Why would this man spit saliva onto a burger?
And why was it green?
Yeah, why was it green? How can your saliva be green? Does he have a disease or something?
They already said that, Clifton.
Oh yeah, they did. He had a disease.
Rural town for most of my life. It's the kind of area where everybody knows each other, despite there being miles between most neighbors. I also got a job at just about the only restaurant within a 30-mile radius of my house. The old-fashioned Dairy Queen at the intersection of the two country highways that went through town. The town was so small, in fact. If you needed anything else other than gas, mail, or fast food, you'd have to drive 45 minutes to the next sign of civilization. Since the town I lived in was so small, the business that the Dairy Queen received was minimal at best. It was usually only one person working on any given shift. The manager actually only had two other people on staff other than himself. Me for the morning shift and another guy for the evening shift. On average, during those days, I probably served about 3 customers per shift. The owner of the franchise knew all of this without a doubt. I always remember him as this depressed old husk
This
of
is
a
make me
businessman,
hungry.
with his life's work crumbling away before his
Go
eyes.
ask Miss
He
Martha
never
and
tried
Ricky
to
Boys
hide the
Earth
fact
Club.
that he wanted to sell
It's
the
only
business,
11.
but for the longest time he couldn't find anyone who wanted to buy it, for obvious reasons. But that
They're
all
not
changed
open.
very suddenly one day. The boss man came into work, and for the first time ever, there was a smile
Oh
on
my
his
gosh, I
face.
sold.
I'm finally doing it, sport. I'm throwing in the towel. I'm selling this old hunk of junk and getting it off my hands.
Ah.
Really? How? Who's the buyer? I don't really know, actually. I met him on Craigslist. He said he's a professional savior of failed businesses. Probably some kind of cartel money launderer. Says he'll only do cash, no questions asked. Watch your back around him, alright? Alright, man. I don't think anybody's gonna be able to save this place, though. Well, you see, that's the beauty of the situation. That's not my problem anymore. True. Good luck in your future endeavors, I guess. You too, sport. I'm just gonna clear out my office and the new guy will be in tomorrow. He said he's bringing his business partner, whoever that
Pause
is. I couldn't care less.
My video's still on.
1 second, guys. Just unpause it. Oh, that's fine. Did you call us?
Hey, you call me? Yeah, what happened to you?
Watch.
Coming.
Listen,
Yes. Yes, yes, I'm on.
I know you just heard this earlier you said lunch.
Yeah, I'm coming down. This is my back really hurts.